Jane Mayer, Dark Money, The Hidden History of the Billionaires Behind the Rise of the Radical Right. Welcome to the intriguing world of dark money, a realm where political influence is shaped in secret by billionaire patrons. This summary of Jane Mayer's book, Dark Money, The Hidden History of the Billionaires Behind the Rise of the Radical Right, uncovers the hidden connections and clandestine operations of Charles and David Koch, whose Koch Industries is the second-largest private company in the U.S. Through an intricate network of political donors, fundraising institutions, educational organizations, and think tanks, the Koch brothers have discreetly promoted a libertarian agenda focused on free markets and minimal regulatory interference. This summary delves into the strategies they've employed to drive their objectives and shape the political landscape of America.
The unseen power of Koch brothers. Elite billionaires Charles and David Koch, heirs of Koch Industries, hold significant influence through their deep-rooted political connections known as the Kochtopus. The brothers advocate for limited government, reduced regulatory power, and complete economic liberty. After David's unsuccessful bid for the vice presidency, the duo refocused their approach on shaping political messages and developing effective strategies from behind the scenes, wielding impressive power over American politics. Dark money exposed. The powerful Koch brothers realized that subtly influencing public opinion was crucial to advancing their political goals. They ingeniously disguised their agenda through a web of non-profit organizations, think tanks, and private foundations. This allowed them to donate millions anonymously and without public disclosure, giving rise to the term dark money. Their donations were tax-deductible, enabling them to not only channel funds to the causes they supported but also to avoid inheritance tax. Over time, their network became deeply entrenched in the American political landscape, involving major political figures and gaining massive financial resources. The key to transforming public opinion lies in finding low-key, discreet methods of promoting one's ideas. The Koch brothers recognized this early on and masterfully used philanthropy as a cover for their political agendas. Under the cloak of non-profit organizations, advocacy groups, and think tanks, they began disseminating their libertarian ideology. Such organizations offer multiple benefits: cost-effectiveness, minimal public disclosure, and most importantly, anonymity. By routing funds through nonprofits, the Koch brothers and other donors could keep their contributions hidden from the public eye, thus spawning the term dark money. The inability to track the flow of these donations makes it near impossible to uncover the magnitude of their financial influence. An additional advantage of donating through nonprofits is the tax deduction it permits. The Koch brothers could funnel their family inheritance to foundations, support their chosen causes, and conveniently sidestep inheritance tax, a triple win. As time went on, an expanding network of institutions, now known as the Kochtopus, wielded influence over big political names such as Senator Ted Cruz and Governor Chris Christie. High-profile donors, including Charles Schwab and Richard DeVos, contributed millions. By 2013, the brothers controlled over 100,000 private foundations, amassing a staggering $800 billion in assets. Among these, the Heritage Foundation, with $174 million in assets, is particularly influential. The Koch brothers' strategy has proved highly successful, allowing them to utilize immense wealth to sway public policy while evading political transparency laws and tax loopholes. Breeding grounds for conservative thought. The Koch brothers recognized the power of educational institutions and think tanks in shaping public opinion and reducing resistance to their conservative ideology. By donating to respected universities, they aimed to create a new generation of conservative thinkers who would eventually become influential political leaders. Law schools were a primary focus of this strategy. Early right-wing educational organizations, such as the Olin Foundation, funded programs like the Mansfield's Program on Constitutional Government at Harvard, which imparted a conservative interpretation of American government. Graduates of these programs soon found themselves teaching at prestigious institutions like Georgetown, Harvard, and Yale. Meanwhile, think tanks such as the George C. Marshall Institute, which received Koch network donations, were utilized to cast doubt on scientific data. For example, physicists Fred Seitz and Fred Singer, who had no expertise in climate science, gained public attention by challenging climate change research. These think tanks claimed they balanced scientific debate, but in reality, they provided misleading information with little academic merit, serving the interests of their powerful donors. The influence of these think tanks during the Reagan administration was evident, as the Heritage Foundation's mandate for leadership became a playbook for Congress members. Unveiling the Astroturf movement. The Tea Party movement's growth in the late 2000s was facilitated by the Koch brothers and their network of think tanks, nonprofits, and well-funded political strategies. Labeled an Astroturf movement due to its artificial nature, they successfully convinced the public that it was a grassroots effort. The cause was further fueled by right-wing media personalities who amplified libertarian ideas. Over the years leading up to 2009, the Koch brothers meticulously laid the foundations for a political movement which would later be known as the Tea Party. The time had come for their investment in nonprofits and educational programs to bring libertarianism into mainstream American politics. Richard Fink, the Koch brothers' key strategist, played an instrumental role in the development of this movement through his structure of Social Change Manifesto from the 1980s. His plan outlined a detailed approach to initiating a political upheaval, starting with sharing ideas generated at think tanks with politicians and culminating in deploying activists to advocate for their cause. Throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, the Koch network made significant monetary contributions to organize what appeared to be spontaneous uprisings. However, these events were far from genuine, and the ensuing Tea Party movement was entirely constructed by the Koch brothers. Its origins were made to seem grassroots, but due to its manufactured nature, it was coined as an Astroturf movement, inspired by the synthetic grass brand. The Tea Party benefited immensely from the influential right-wing media attention it garnered. CNBC reporter Rick Santelli is often credited for sparking its growth, even though he was only echoing the sentiments of Wilbur Ross, Jr., a close friend of David Koch. Ross criticized President Barack Obama's plan to alleviate the mortgage crisis on the news channel, and Santelli seized on this opportunity to denounce Obama's policy as promoting irresponsible behavior. Further support came from the Koch-funded think tank, FreedomWorks, which paid conservative media figure Glenn Beck over $1 million to promote their ideas on Fox News. Through these orchestrated efforts, the Koch brothers successfully brought libertarianism into mainstream American politics. Unleashing the political cash flood. In 2010, the game-changing Citizens United v. Federal Elections Commission decision granted corporations freedom of speech, allowing them to spend limitless amounts of money supporting or opposing political candidates. This ruling effectively reversed century-old laws designed to maintain an equal political playing field, and also helped create disunity among liberal groups striving for broader First Amendment rights. Although donors maintained anonymity, the amount of dark money in politics proliferated. Organizations, like Citizens United, were now able to transfer massive, untraceable donations within their networks. Consequently, the powerful Kochtopus thrived, its influence multiplying in the 2010 midterm elections. The REDMAP Masterstroke. The success of the Republican Party in the 2010 midterm elections can be attributed to an ingenious strategy called REDMAP, which aimed to win as many congressional seats as possible to reshape districts in the party's favor. Gerrymandering, the manipulation of electoral boundaries, was key to this strategy, concentrating Democratic voters into single districts and leaving the rest for Republican domination. Fueled by huge financial support, particularly in North Carolina, this plan secured majorities for the Republicans in numerous states and the House of Representatives. As a result, the party was able to influence policy decisions, making deep cuts to social spending and shaping the political landscape for years to come. In 2008, when the Democrats celebrated their presidential victory and majorities in the House and Senate, Republican strategist Ed Gillespie devised a clever plan, REDMAP. The objective was to secure a Republican majority in Congress in the 2010 midterms, which would grant them control over redrawing district boundaries in 2011. Gerrymandering often benefits one party by clustering voters from the opposing faction into a single district, leaving the majority of the remaining districts for a single party's rule. The Republicans' REDMAP strategy followed this logic, consolidating Democratic voters to limit their representation. This maneuver was further bolstered by the Citizens United decision, which allowed dark money to flood the electoral system in support of Republican campaigns. The story of North Carolina demonstrates REDMAP's efficiency. Thanks to significant funding from Art Pope, a Koch ally and donor, Republicans seized 18 out of 22 local legislative races, securing representation in both Congress and Senate for the first time in over a century. This monumental shift allowed Republicans to redraw districts to their advantage, altering the course of elections for years. Not only did this have a lasting impact in North Carolina, but it also affected the nation, as Republicans took control of the House of Representatives in 2010. As a testament to the power of this strategy, the Koch brothers' small government agenda was implemented. North Carolina saw massive reductions in unemployment benefits, despite having the fifth highest unemployment rate in the country. This showcases the extent to which state-level control can shape policy and influence political outcome without White House occupancy. The Kochs' war against Obama. The Koch brothers' opposition to Barack Obama played a significant role in defining the political atmosphere of his presidency. They fueled the government shutdown in 2013 and promoted skepticism about climate change, challenging the former president's environmental agenda. Their influence extended through their network, often referred to as the Kochtopus, which wielded considerable power over the Republican Party. Charles Koch's vehement dislike for Barack Obama culminated in his labeling their struggle as the mother of all wars. Their weapon of choice, the REDMAP initiative, enabled the radical Republicans elected in 2012, including Mark Meadows, to instigate the 2013 government shutdown. Meadows penned an open letter urging fellow Republican leaders to delay funds required for Obamacare, causing the shutdown when Democrats refused to back down. With the rise of these extremists, hope for reasonable debates on critical topics like climate change dwindled. Not long ago, both Republicans and Democrats acknowledged the importance of addressing global warming, united against environmental degradation. However, the grip of the Kochtopus on the Republican Party led to many within the party disowning climate change, calling it a hoax. For the Kochs, climate change was an inconvenient reality. Their businesses faced multiple multimillion-dollar lawsuits due to the health and environmental hazards they posed. In response, they vehemently discredited respected environmental scientists and propagated the narrative that the government's climate change regulations attacked individual freedom. As the Kochtopus tightened control over the Republican Party, its impact extended well beyond their initial objectives, signaling alarming domination of American politics. Challenging the billionaire oligarchy. A core belief in the American dream is that anyone can achieve their aspirations, regardless of their origins. However, influential figures like the Koch brothers have expanded the economic gap in the United States, making it harder for individuals to defy those in power. Their expansive network has heavily influenced the Republican Party, often punishing politicians who don't comply with the Kochs, such as former House Speaker John Boehner. The influence of wealthy individuals like them suggests that the United States political system more closely resembles an oligarchy than a democracy. Interestingly, Donald Trump, a billionaire himself, has positioned himself as a defender of the working class, yet chose a Koch favorite, Mike Pence, as his vice president. Ahead of the 2016 election, the Koch network was expected to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to sway the results. To uphold the true spirit of the American dream, it is crucial to resist the control of these small but powerful groups and restore the values of freedom and bravery in the United States.
As we've seen, the politically charged tendrils of the Koch brothers have invasively woven themselves into the fabric of America's democracy. Through their vast wealth and interconnected network of nonprofit organizations and think tanks, Charles and David Koch have built a powerful force capable of subverting transparency and manipulating public policy. While it's difficult to deny that they've made an indelible mark on the nation, it's important to recognize how their influence has further widened the economic gap and pushed America closer to oligarchy than democracy. Revealing the hidden world of dark money and unmasking the intentions of those who wield it is essential in the fight to regain the spirit of the American dream and protect the democratic values that define the nation.